Hi, it's Glenn McQueenie, and welcome to my 25-minute Success Series podcast. Today, we have someone who's just going through the licensing program, so hasn't even licensed yet, but is keen to kind of build a really great real estate career by probably trying to figure out which niche market is going to work best for him. So today, we have Sung Choi from Markham, Ontario, and Markham's just a little north of Toronto for those who want to understand the geography. So welcome to the call, Sung.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Well, it's my pleasure. I'm very excited. I wish um, someone was coaching me like this when I was getting my license program. It would have been a lot easier than 30 years ago when I started, and there really wasn't a lot of coaching and training. It was just get out there and go knock on doors and phone people and hope for something. So I'm really excited about today's call because I think we're really going to do some fun stuff. So tell me where you are right now. So what part of the process? How far are you away from being licensed?
I am studying the transaction general and transaction residential courses. I'm booked for exam by mid-September. Normally, I would have booked it earlier, but now it's summer and I have to do some traveling, so I allow more time for myself.
Sure. Well, you got to rest up before you dive into this career. So when do you think you'll be officially licensed and ready to start to trade? How long from now?
I think I will have the license before the end of the year.
Perfect. Okay. So, what if you had to kind of just paint me a picture of who your perfect customer? There's a reason you got into real estate. Who would you like to serve? Who would you like to be a hero to and help out in real estate?
I will talk to people who want to buy a house or sell house or any real estate. I will introduce them to the available properties that meet their requirements. I'll find out their needs and wants. I will then match them up with the available properties, and I will give them an idea of the recently closed deals, so that they have an idea of what's available out there. So I very much like to help them, give them the best service that I can.
And what's important about that to you? Like, why are you coming into real estate?
Because I read in paper, newspaper, and in the news media that the real estate market is quite active in the Toronto and Markham area. So there's a lot of opportunities. I like to put my efforts into uh, doing good, and helping everybody get their best deal. Is important to me because I like to contribute in the process, and in the meantime, make a living.
Right. And what did you do before real estate? What was your career before?
I was in engineering, technical sales. And I enjoy that as well. I match customers, mostly industrial, institutional clients, technical equipment needs, and I match the specifications with the manufacturer's products. So I believe with my skills and experiences in technical sales, I am quite well prepared with the background for a successful career in real estate.
Right. And I guess having that background, it's probably a fairly logical profession, right? Like it's a lot of, here's the technical specs, here's the logical problem solving. There's not a lot of like emotion in it, really.
In technical sales is mostly technical and logical. So it's different from real estate. In the emotion respect. Yeah, indeed. And so I will do some training for myself in handling the emotional aspects of the business.
See, I just wonder if you have to. I mean, I'll tell you, in my 30 years, it is certainly an emotional business. I mean, there's times when you need to bring all of the emotional intelligence you have to try to put a deal together, right? Because we are dealing with human beings, not robots. Um, I believe there is, but I wonder with your background, what if we were to focus more on logical thinkers and less emotional thinkers?
Sure, yeah, I would like to deal with logical thinkers as well.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I was trained to do. But I realized in the consumers market that all the advertising, all the media has uh, dealt with a lot of the emotional aspects of the consumers. The consumers are not always logical, so we need to take care of their emotional needs and wants as well.
For sure. So I wonder if like in your previous career in sales, like did you get along with engineers really well and like technical writers, computer people? Like did you kind of feel that you could get along with them a lot quicker or easier than, someone who is maybe on the other side of the spectrum?
Yes, I get along with logical people very well. In industrial sales, there's not a lot of emotion, so I have to say I don't have a lot of experience dealing with emotional
Perfect.
customers or consumers.
Well, I mean, I think that's the beautiful thing because the whole thing about finding your own niche market in real estate is about just bringing who you are right now to and then matching it to a target customer in order for you to do a lot of transactions. Like this whole notion that people have to work on their weaknesses, I think is silly. I think it's one of those things that if we could just keep you in your logical, technical brain, and we just attracted more of those technical, logical thinkers, then I think because you already said you get along with those people really well, I think you're going to have a lot of success in real estate if you just focused on that one target market. Does that make sense?
Sure, yeah, that sounds makes sense.
Right. So what if we were to do something like this? What if, because what I've learned with people who are high logic thinkers is they really rely on the data to make their decision, not on the emotion of it. And so they're data driven. They don't really trust what you say. It's almost like prove it to me. And if the data makes sense, then they'll go ahead with it. Does that make sense?
Sure, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
So
all right.
why don't we go after like engineers, logistics people in Markham, in Unionville, who are thinking about moving? What if we just focused on all of our marketing efforts on just getting them um, into our sphere of influence?
Sure, yeah, that sounds right. That makes sense. Yeah, I would like to target and find all the engineers, technical people around Markham and
Right.
with them.
So what if we created a Facebook page called The Engineer's Guide to Buying Your First Home in Markham? And
That's
all we did on that page was put data, stats, logical things, any type of data point that would almost make them, because they're going to build their own Excel spreadsheet about this anyway, like they're already going to be gathering all of the data points necessary. But I wonder if we were almost to get so nichey in our target market that we just targeted Like, because who would go to that page?
The engineer.
That's right. And so that's why I think it's kind of like a really cool idea. Or if you were to go to any of the engineering companies that are based in Markham and talk to their human resources professional, and said, listen, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to come to your company. I'll bring the food, like whether it be the pizza or whatever the food is that you think they're going to eat for lunch, and do a lunch and learn for the engineers at these big companies. And you take an absolute logical approach to how you actually present this kind of, you know, you know, your perspective on the market. So you called it the Engineer's Guide to Buying Real Estate in Markham, and that's the name of your lunch and learn, like your kind of program. And you basically go in there and you say, okay, like where are you now? Where do you want to go? What data do you need from me that would help you make a great decision? And then just give it right back to them. And I think if you do that, they're going to go, oh, this person gets me. They think just like me. And I think you're going to be able to pick up a lot of customers that way.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
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 Yeah, and there's also I'm sure there's like the Professional Engineers Association of Ontario or something like that, who would have a list of all of the engineering companies that are based in Markham. And you could almost just, because what I found with a lot of corporations is they're always trying to, get their company to eat together because it builds culture. When you break bread with somebody, it's not just you just come in and do your work and go home. It creates more of a kind of like just a nice atmosphere where people actually know. And I think I would approach the human resources person that way. I would say, listen, what I want to do is really help you build your culture in your office. And what I'm going to do is I'm willing to bring lunch, and we'll do a 1-hour lunch and learn. And we'll start with, here's an overview of the Toronto market. You'll be able to get all these stats from the Toronto Real Estate Board. Here's the overview of the market. Here's my opinion. Here's the hot areas right now in the 905 area. Here's, like you can Google the best neighborhoods in Unionville. The best neighborhoods in Markham, the best neighborhoods in Richmond Hill. All of that stuff is already on Google somewhere. But if you just put it together and said, you know what, I got to tell you right now, Main Street, Unionville is one of the hottest areas right now. So if you can be just off of Main Street, Unionville, or Fred Varley is selling, prices on Fred Varley are going up 12% higher than if you're on if you're on the west side of Kennedy, prices are going up 22% quicker than if you're on the east side of Kennedy. And I think that's the kind of information that those people would probably want, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, yes, they will be impressed by the numbers. So if I can bring to them expertise, show them that I know the market, I know the stuff, they will see me as a value-adding person. I'm bringing to them value-added proposition. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm jotting down all these points as we speak.
Well, the great thing too here, Sung, is you're going to get a recording of this, so you can listen to it all over again too. So you'll be able to take even more notes. Because I think the other thing you could do is, what if you had even a sub-niche market inside of your engineer market, which is the Engineer's Guide to Buying Investment Properties? Go ahead.
Yeah, many engineers would have money that they would like to have maximum return in the Toronto hot real estate market. The news are pointing to the fact that the real estate markets are going up from this point on. It has reached bottom. So, if I can guide them where to invest for best return on real estate, they will go along. Many of them will, I believe.
Yeah. And what if if you brought them out on a tour, you said, hey, listen, in a couple of weeks or, once you get licensed, by the way, this Saturday from 12 to 2, we're going to be doing a tour of income properties. And what I'm going to bring with me is a home inspector who has an engineering degree. And they're going to walk you through all of the different properties and tell you what to be looking for. So you can bring your engineering background. We've got a home inspector there. I'll give you the market update. They'll tell you about the quality of the house. I can give you the cash flow numbers, like here's the income, here's what the down payment's going to be. And then I think if you had that tour, and it almost became a weekly tour, and it was just you bringing engineers and a home inspector out to look at a bunch of properties, I think it'd be a really great way to build your business.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I will be interested in joining.
Yeah. So the way you have to think about this, and the reason I did my book, The McQueenie Method, is it's not about even changing anything. It's all about just bringing you and what you like, your background, what you really like to do, and who you are to a target market of people that you think you're going to get along with really well because you have, you know how they think, you know the wisdom that they're going to need, you know the data points that you have to bring to, and then they're going to sit there and go, oh, you know what, Sung, he gets me. Like every question I've had here, all the data I've ever wanted to buy a house, Sung's given it to me all. I've talked to other realtors who aren't logic side, and they're always like, oh, but the house has got to feel good. You know what I mean? They're going to think about a great place to raise your family, like a lot of that stuff, which is very important. But for very logic-driven thinkers, it's like, listen, we don't trust anyone except for the data. Give me the data, I'll process it myself, and I can make the decision on whether or not to go forward with this.
Sure, yeah. Engineers like data. I will bring them the data.
Yeah. So what I would be doing over the next couple of months, as you're getting ready to finish off your license and stuff, is I would read this book called The Millionaire Real Estate Investor. The Millionaire Real Estate Investor by Gary Keller, because it's a great book about the why they should be investing, not necessarily the how. I would probably join. There's a group called RAIN, called the Real Estate Investment Network, REIN. You can just Google that, and I would probably want to join one of those chapters so that you can brainstorm with other people who all they do is buy, fix, flip, or buy and hold, or build their wealth through investment real estate.
Oh yeah, that sounds very interesting. I'd like to join them, find out more.
Yeah, and just find out what they do, because what you're going to find is you might be able to create some additional wealth for yourself also. So what if you positioned yourself as, listen, I'm gonna I'm gonna go and find every investment property in the 905 area. I'm gonna pre-screen them. I'm gonna only recommend the best properties to you. And then all I need from you is your capital. So you're going to put up the money. I'm going to be your partner, 50-50 partner. I will find the property. I will run the property. I will rent it. I will property manage it. And I'll repair it if it needs to be done. And we're going to be 50-50 partners. And when we sell that property, you get your down payment back. And then we share the growth of the investment.
Yes, many engineers will like to participate in that and get
Right.
the great that we have been hearing in the news. Yeah, we hear that the condos are rising in price by 10%. So that's better than many investments that we get from the bank or fixed income investments.
Absolutely.
So that will investment.
Yeah, and you can show them how to get an even better return. Like if you were to show them, like in Richmond Hill, on the old part of Richmond Hill, there's a lot of income properties right there. that if you put the cash on cash return, so that's a return just on your down payment, is anywhere from 17 to 26%. It's a much higher return than on a condo. Doesn't mean they can't buy condos. But what you're trying to do is position yourself as, listen, you guys are engineers. You make all your money as engineers. I'm a real estate agent. I make my money in real estate. So you guys just keep engineering because I know you're busy. You don't have time, but you have money. What I'm going to do is take your money and we're going to make you even more money by building a bunch more passive streams of income so that when you retire or you don't want to be an engineer anymore, that you've got so much other income that you don't even worry about it.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't that be fun?
Yeah, it will. That's the way to get many of them interested in the business.
Yeah. And I was talking to a group of investors just a little while ago. There was in this it was like a mastermind with a whole bunch of investors. And so this one guy has done 22 of these like joint venture projects together, right? And I said to him, I said, how do you convince people that they have to put up the money, but that you're going to do the rest of the work and that you're 50-50 partners? I said, do you ever have a hard time like convincing somebody? He said, Glenn, I just give this analogy. So it's going to sound a little bit weird to you, Sung, but I think you're going to get the point, okay? Because this is exactly the analogy he gave me. He said, if you look at a man and a woman, a man has the sperm and does a little bit of effort, 5 minutes of the sperm. But it's the woman who has to carry that baby for 40 weeks. Then it's basically stuck to her for a year. So who's doing, but they're 50-50 owners, but who's doing all of the work? Isn't that a great, yeah, isn't that a great analogy? So he says, so I just say to him, your money is just the sperm. I'm the one who now has to carry this baby, fix it up, get it ready to rent out, get all the returns, watch the money, repair it. I'm the one doing all the work, and that's why we're going to be 50-50 partners.
Well, that sounds interesting. I'll put this analogy to some of them.
Isn't it amazing? I love that one. Yeah. So that's what I would be doing. That's my advice for you. I give you today is just be trying to just, keep focusing on almost planning it that if you know an engineer, like what's keeping them awake at night if they're thinking about buying a house. And so what's their biggest fear? Well, I don't want to get ripped off. I don't want to make a mistake. I don't really trust agents, blah, blah, blah. And if you kind of just pretend you're them and every single objection they have in your mind, you just come up with the solution to it so that when you present it to them, you get rid of every single one of their fears. Then you get to win them over as a customer. But it all begins with you planning it from the customer's point of view, not from your point of view.
Right. Yeah, good point. Then I'm really glad you bring up this very important, very interesting point.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to learn all of them, put them in my head, and have a successful career.
Yeah, well, I think you're going to have a successful career, Sung. I think you're going to do really well if you choose to focus in one niche. Now, I'm not saying that's all you do, but I would argue right now that with 52,000 agents on the Toronto Real Estate Board, we don't need just another average real estate agent who's trying to be everything to everybody. What we do need is more professional real estate agents who know one market really well and go really deep into that market because, after all, like the riches are in the niches, right?
Right. Good point. Yeah, I will go for this investment engineers niche market.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that would be great. So, do you have any other questions just before we wrap up? We just got another minute or so left in our 25-minute Success Series call.
That's very helpful. I was like listening to the genie, the wise man giving me the best advices. I really thank you very much, Glenn, giving me benefit of your 30 years of successful career. We'll focus on these niche markets and to start from here. But thank you.
Well, you're very welcome, and I'd really encourage you now, as you're waiting to get licensed, is to take as much time to just learn about investment properties. If you have a friend who's a realtor right now who could maybe print off a list of all the investment properties that's sold this year, and that you could get in your car and start driving around them and seeing what the money really gets, because on those listings you're going to see what the income is, you're going to see what the returns are, and you're going to see what the sale prices are. And the more you can be working on that, the faster start I think you're going to get up to once you get your license later this year.
Okay, yes. Sounds
All
good.
right.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Okay, so I'm going to say thank you very much, Sung Choi, for joining me on the call today, and I hope we just got you a little closer to finding your niche, and I really wish you all the best in your real estate career.
I thank you very much, and glad to have been here.
All right, okay, thanks, and we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.